So we had some major fights announced yesterday by Dana White, and after having really no clue how the next, few months will go in the UFC, we finally have some massive fights. Some very questionable ones. Sean O'Malley is getting his rematch against Merab, coming off of a year-long layoff. We got Julianna Pena fighting Kayla Harrison finally, and we got Garry taking on Carlos Prates in the main event in Kansas City. So let's quickly go through these, and yeah, like really quick though, with this card, uh, I'm gonna say a lot of obvious things. So Merab versus Sean O'Malley 2. You look at Merab, you look at the running zone. Umar Nurmagomedov, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo, Schroeder Young, Jose Aldo. That is the craziest 5 wins I think we're going to find currently. I do not think there's an active fighter with a better last 5 fights and a tougher last 5 fights than Morag. And he dominated. Well, I'm not going to say dominated. He outpaced Umar. He dominated Sean O'Malley in the first fight. Let's not kid ourselves. I know some people said, "Oh, but when you look at it, it's a close fight." It wasn't. You got Henry Cejudo, Shoulder Gun, you know, former champions. Jose Aldo, former featherweight champion, featherweight goat. Then you got Sean O'Malley. He lost to Merab at the Sphere. Again, it wasn't a close fight. He beat Marlon Vera for one title defense. It was a dominant one. While Marlon Vera wasn't the best contender at that time. I love Marlon Vera. He's not. He wasn't a tough guy. He wasn't a major threat to Marlon Vera. Then he knocked out Aldo for the belt, beat Kildon. Not really. I Kildon won that fight. And then the Chris Moutinho fight. That was probably the most dominant performance he has had in the UFC. Ultimately, though, Sean O'Malley coming off of a year layoff. I know that he said that he quit weed, he quit jerking off and all this stuff. I think Merab is probably the best bantamweight of all time, and Sean on a year long layoff. There are fighters like John Jones who have their best fights after layoffs. I don't think Sean O'Malley is that kind of fighter. Looking at what Merab would have next from Alexander Pantoja, this is a fight that I believe should have been made instead of the Sean O'Malley rematch. Pantoja is a dominant champion. He's cleared through everybody in the flyweight division and is beating everybody a second or third time. You got Piotr Jan. Piotr Jan did really good against uh, against Merab. Merab wasn't able um, earn. There was Jose Aldo. He couldn't get Jose Aldo down, but Piotr Jan did really good against him. Corey Sandhagen. Um, if you fun fact with Corey Sandhagen is nowhere near the title shot at this point, I think that he would beat Corey. Corey, I don't know, man. When it comes to the big fights, he just doesn't deliver. I love Corey, man. He's one of my favorite fighters. But it's just something about title eliminators and title fights. He's worth it too. Then you got Sung Yadong coming out for a win against Henry Cejudo. I don't really think that it'll be Sung Yadong. ultimately, I think you do Pantoja. I think that it makes more sense. Give Pantoja the chance to become a double champion after running through his division, after beating everybody and showcasing that he is clearly the second best flyweight of all time. Now, Demetrius Johnson has that claim on lock. I don't think anybody will get 15 titles, let alone I don't think Pantoja will be able to defend about 15 times. But I think probably the it's probably going to be the most high-paced fight we will or super fight we will see. And if Merab beats Pantoja, then I mean maybe you talk about him going to featherweight, or he continues to defend the bantamweight belt and further solidifies himself as the greatest bantamweight champ. This is a fight that should have been made, and this is a fight that should be made after this fight. Sean O'Malley go fight Corey Sandhagen, who he should have been fighting. Moving on, though. Moving on. Thank you. Julianna Pena versus Kayla Harrison. Julianna Pena beat Raquel Pennington in her last fight to get the title back. I thought Raquel Pennington won that fight. I thought she won it 3 rounds to 2. I thought she was doing more damage. And, you know, yeah, Raquel Pennington should be the champion. Then you look at Pena before that. Watched Amanda Nunes got dominated, not demolished. And then she had her Cinderella win against Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes looked awful in that fight. I don't know what she had during that fight. She did not work herself. And then in the rematch, it it wasn't even close. But her other good wins, Kat Zingano, a legend, I guess, a legend of the female bantamweight division, if we have many. And then you look at Kayla Harrison, beat Kellen Vera, beat Holly Holm, beat Ashton Ladd in the PFL, lost to Larissa Pacheco, who's probably the best female fighter outside of the UFC. And then she beat Jinderova. I honestly could see this fight being closer than people believe. I think that, um, I covered that on shit. Whatever. I think that Kayla Harrison will probably win this, and be potentially top 3 female fighters of all time if she isn't already. So I kind of spoiled who I think will win, but I think Kayla Harrison will win this. It could be close though, Julianna Pena, even though she annoys the shit out of me. She has a really good style and it works. Looking at fights for Kayla Harrison after this, you got Norma Dumont who's on a 5-fight win streak. You got Raquel Pennington who just lost to, well, what, well, excuse me, lost to Juliana Pena. And then you have Macy uh, Tyson. I don't think Macy gets it though. Ultimately, I think it'll be Norma Dumont. She's on a decent win streak, 5 fights in a row. And then, I honestly think Kayla will run this division for quite some time. Does she reach Amanda Nunes and uh, threaten some of Amanda Nunes' records? Probably not. Um, Maybe she does, but I still think Amanda Nunes is still the greatest. But I also think Norma Dumont has a chance to upset Kayla Harrison. Um, Moving on. You probably make that fight fall, October, November, around there. Looking at this, Mario Batista, Boo, and then Marlon Vera. you look at Mario Batista. Mario Batista absolutely disrespected Jose Aldo in his last fight. Not in a good way, just by holding him up against the fence for 15 minutes. He beat Ricky Simone, beat Damone Blackster, beat Guido Canetti, and Benito Lopez. Those other four are really good wins. He had really good performances against those guys. Then you got Marlon Vera coming off of losses to Figueredo, the Sean O'Malley fight, which again I don't think he was ready for. I think he needed one or two more fights for a title fight, and they only did it because of the injury in their first fight, and Sean O'Malley wanted to get that one back. He beat Pedro Munoz, knocked out Donny Cruz brutally with the knee, and then beat Frankie Edgar, another legend. Um, I hate to say it. I really hate to say it. I think Mario Batista wins this. I love Marlon Vera. I absolutely despise Mario Batista. But I think that Mario Batista has more ways to beat him. I think their grappling will be too much for Marlon Vera, and I'll probably just be shoved against the cage for 15 minutes, looking at potential fights for this little man, Mario Batista. He could fight Song Yadong, could fight Rob Font, Davison Figueiredo, I think he loses to, and then Corey Sandhagen, I think he loses to. Ultimately, I think it should be Tom Aspinall. Tom Aspinall, you know, interim champion, give Batista a shot at, you know, unified gold. And yeah, book it, I don't know, International Fight Week, winner fights John Jones. I'm just kidding. I went with Song Yadong because both of these guys are kind of in the same situation. Song Yadong is coming off of basically like if a robbery decision had a definition, it does that one. He poked Henry Cejudo's eyes multiple times, not shot at him multiple times, and won. Like, why don't we do that from now on? Why don't we just follow fighters until they can't fight? I like the guy who followed him multiple times to win, and then you have a guy who followed another UFC for 15 minutes. Um, in this fight though, all bitterness aside, I think it'd be close. I think Song Yadong would win though. I think Song Yadong has more skills. And yeah. Moving on, what fight do we have next? Johnny Walker taking on Asmat Mirzakhanov. Johnny Walker has been on a bit of a run lately on a quick win streak against Anthony Smith and Paul Craig. I know Anthony. You say what you want about Anthony Smith. He got a good win in that fight. Paul Craig that's a good win to have. Paul Craig has a lot of sneaky wins. Go around Trey, that one is aging beautifully. And then lost to Jamal Hill and Uncle Wyatt for one UFC champions. Asman Mirzakhanov, probably one of the scariest light heavyweights coming in though. Alonzo Manifield, Dustin Jacoby, Devin Clark, Stefan Nechikwe, and Matthias Scheffel. All of those fights, he won pretty dominantly, and he's got really good power. He's got good wrestling. Mirzakhanov looks like he will be a nightmare in this division for a lot of people. I'm going to Asmat Mirzakhanov, and looking at fights after beating Johnny Walker. You got Volkan Ozdemir, who still is hanging around somehow. You got Nikita Krylov. I think Nikita Krylov is ranked 8th or 7th or something like that. Alexander Rakic, that's another one. I don't really know what's going on with Rakic now. after losing to Yuri and Magomed Ankalaev. So I think it should be Nikita Krylov. Nikita Krylov, I think he beat Ryan Spann in his last fight. He's he's good. He's been in the light heavyweight division for quite some time. I just think Shamil Gaziev will. I think he'll be a top contender in the light heavyweight division for years to come. He has a really good style, really big for the division, and yeah, I like this fight. And Nikita Krylov too. I think he can pull off a sneaky submission against him. But that's the fight I would make after this that one. And then looking at Bruno Silva, the good one against Joshua Van. Looking at Bruno Silva coming off of a loss to Manel Cop, beat Cody Durden, beat Tyson Nam, Victor Rodriguez, JP Buys. Looking at Ben though, he's on a 3 fight win streak, beating Ray Tasura, Cody Durden, Edgar Cereze, Charles Johnson, and Felipe Burns. This will be a really tough fight for Joshua Ben, who is kind of sneaking in the flyweight ranking. I really like him. He's very young too, so he'll be around for probably the next 10 or 15 years. Bruno Silva, though, he does have strength in opponents. He does have a lot of good performances. Ultimately, I'm going with my boy, Joshua Van. And I have a couple fights for him that I think are pretty massive. After this, I think he would be on a 5 fight win streak, I believe. So I put for potential fights Alex Perez. That will be a good one. Alex Perez has been in the top of the division for quite some time. Has had some mixed performances in his last few fights. Ramazan Tamirov, who looks scary in the flyweight division, has really good power, really quick, and has decent wrestling. Then you got Steve Erceg. I threw Steve Erceg on there just because I could see the UFC potentially really pushing for Joshua Van. Personally, I wouldn't do it, but I think the biggest way you can do is Ramazan Tamirov. I think that this fight would be a war in the flyweight division, and again, these are two young guys who are going to be here for quite some time and potentially be the faces in the top of the flyweight division, which honestly is a division that keeps on getting better and better. We got Pantoja there who is beating everybody, but you look at who we have there right now. Brandon Merab, Manel Cap, we've got um Brandon Brandon Moreno. And now you got guys like Joshua Van and Ramazan Tamirov coming in. It's gonna be a brutal division. Um, I think it'll be a tough fight for both of them. I'm a big Joshua Van fan, but I kind of see Ramazan Tamirov winning this one. I really hope Josh Van wins it. Um, I really do. I honestly think that this guy could be one of the funnest fighters. Well, both of these guys. I don't know, man. Joshua, man, I love his performances. Moving on, though, to our next fight. We got Sergey Spivak versus Shamil Gaziev. Um, Looking at this fight, Sergey Spivak beat Jolton Almeida in his last fight. Lost Jolton Almeida, sorry, who is now fighting Volk. Yeah, it's Volkov, right? And will probably be the backup fighter for Tom Aspinall and John Jones. He beat Martin Tybura, beat Cyril Gahn, I watched the Gun. Oh my god, beat Derek Lewis and then lost to Tommaso, who obviously is looked at as the best heavyweight in the UFC right now. Kamel Gaziev, he is brutal, man. Looking at his last two fights, Great Thomas Peterson, Dontel Mays, Martin Buday, lost to Rosenstrike, but, you know, he can wrestle, he's got power, and these are two guys that are fairly athletic. Sergey Spivak is only losing to the top of the division. I think it'll be a close fight. Ultimately, though, I'm going with Shamil Gaziev and potential fights for him to have after this. Waldo Cortez Acosta, I believe it's 12. I threw in Tatu Abasa and Derek Lewis. They will be big fights. Um, both of them kind of in the same situation. I think Tatu Abasa should retire, honestly. I don't want to see him come back as a knockout and basically every fight he's had for the last 2 years, or however long it's been, honestly. And then, Derek Lewis, fan favorite, most knockouts. I think it's pretty simple, though. Going Waldo Cortez Acosta. And I think it'll be a fun fight. Both of these guys are athletic. Both of them can grapple. And they both have extreme power. I think this will be a really fun fight. You can throw it on any fight night card. And it'd be a fun strap, I believe. Moving on, though, to Kansas City. Those were all the fights that. Okay, well, I'll pop up that because I'm gonna. Those are all the fights that are currently announced for uh, New Jersey. And personally, again, with the Sean O'Malley thing and him getting a title shot, an immediate title shot, coming back on a year way off, it's not only robbing Sean O'Malley, it's robbing Merab. Because, that's funny. Merab could have benefited from having a second win over Sean O'Malley if Sean O'Malley did something. If Sean O'Malley went out there and beat Corey Sandhagen. If, I don't know, if he knocked out Umar, that would be massive. Then you have Sean O'Malley, again, big pay per view draw, on the win streak instead of, we got Sean O'Malley returning after a year long layoff, doing nothing. Well, I know he's in training, but actually, I'm gonna get to the whole Sean O'Malley thing in a different video. But yeah. Anyway, so before we go, okay, wait, no, I want to also add this. Why do you hate Pantoja? Why do you hate Pantoja? It should be Pantoja. This should be Merab versus Pantoja. Well, that pay per view should be Merab versus Pantoja. It's the biggest fight. Pantoja has nothing left to prove in the flyweight division. Make the fight. You're either gonna have, you know, Merab prove he's the greatest bantamweight of all time, or you're gonna have Pantoja do what Demetrius Johnson never did and win the bantamweight belt. But anyways, on to this fight though. UFC fight in Kansas City. I only did the headliner for this card because it was supposed to be Khalil Roundtree and Jamal Hill. I think Jamal Hill got injured. Looking at this fight though, Ian Garry coming off of a loss to Shavkat Rakhmonov, he looked really good in that fight. It was his first loss of his career. Everybody thought he'd be dominated though. Everybody thought he'd be submitted. He brought Shavkat to Shavkat's first decision. And he had his moments in that fight. The MVP fight was really close. I had MVP winning this fight, honestly. I thought MVP won. I believe it was round one and two. The only round that I kind of gave um, Ian Garry the round was when he was able to do a little bit with his grappling against the fence. But he beat Jeff Neal, a really good win, who Carlos Fontes is supposed to be fighting. Neil Magny, Daniel Rodriguez. D Rod is a really good one. D Rod, he he's one of those guys outside the rankings that really test how durable you are and what you have, and that it's honestly people need to respect Daniel Rodriguez a lot more. Like he's lost to probably the mainly the bigger prospects coming up in this division. Anyways, I'm rambling on. Moving on to Carlos Prates, Neil Magny, he beat in his last fight by knockout. Li Jingliang, he knocked out. The same guy that Hamza Chimaev, ragdolled. Charlie Radke, again, another really good up and comer, Trevin Giles, Mitch Ramirez. Carlos Fontes has a touch of death. Like, uh, he he seems to be probably the scariest welterweight prospect coming up. And I have to give Ian Garry his credit. He is taking on a badass opponent on short notice. I believe Kansas City is when is Kansas City? I should have wrote the dates on there. But yeah, I'm lazy. Uh, Ian Gary. It is April 26th. Yeah. Um, this is a brutal fight. I think that Carlos Fontes is probably once again like the worst fight in welterweight to have because you really don't know whether or not this guy has the touch of death or if it's just the quality of an opponent. Neil Magny and Wei Jingwei are really good wins. That's the thing. But like Ian Gary coming off of a fight against a guy who should be fighting for the title, um, it's a really difficult fight. I think it'll be a close fight. But ultimately, I believe that Carlos Fontes will knock him out. And potential fights for Carlos Fontes after knocking out Ian Gary. Once again, could be, if he would have been Shavkat, probably would be in contentions for the title. Um, Walking Buckley, that would be a war. We really don't know what's going on with Buckley. It should be Kamaru Usman. That's who the crowd picked in Tampa. Leon Edwards coming off of a two-fight losing streak. I think that would be an insane kickboxing match between uh, two really high level strikers. However, the power advantage is clearly in. Wow, Leon knocked out Usman. I don't know. That would be a really fun fight either way. And then you got Jeff Neal, who he should have been fighting at UFC 314. I think it's pretty simple. You rebook. You can either rebook the Jeff Neal fight, but if he beats Ian Gary, who again only lost to another undefeated fighter, you have to give him a push. I say give him Leon Edwards. We get the kickboxing fight. I wouldn't mind them rebooking Jeff Neal, as I said, when the fight got canceled. But with the win over Ian Garry, he is jumping Jeff Neal. He will be at the top of this division and one of the legit contenders. In such a brutal division, like I did my matchmaking for the welterweight division. There is not an easy fight for anybody. But yeah, this should kind of be throwing Leon into the wolves after he was on, wasn't it like an 8 or 9 fight win streak? But it makes sense, and I really think that Carlos Prates is probably one of the biggest stars coming up. You know, the whole smoking cigarettes at the press conference. Training the way he does. Like I believe that this guy probably could be the face of the welterweight division at some point, but there's way too many guys. So that was me kind of giving my thoughts on the bigger fights that were announced yesterday. It's in a really low point in the UFC as far as announcements for fights. I would say the last like few weeks we really have had nothing to go off of. But let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about all these fights? Who do you think will win, and who do you think should be fighting these guys after? Let me know in the comments down below.